Okay, this is Monday the 31st, and we are just going to talk about what we're doing as far as the assignments for this week and the issues that came up with the assignments from last week. Pretty much there were no issues. Everybody followed the directions, and some of you forgot to post replies for discussions. Discussions is always a two-part thing, and I wanted to make sure that you know to look at what's called a rubric, which is usually on the assignment, and it kind of describes, you know, how you get the points or what the scale is and what that entails, what each numerical value entails. I'll tell you something about the grading. When I'm grading these, I have to give you some kind of numerical grade, and if for some reason you resubmit it, you should probably call it to my attention. Otherwise, I can't just keep going over and over and over to see if somebody, you know, changed something, because I have about 75 students, so that's kind of hard. Some of you are also emailing me on my email, elizhandley at ehandley@pipeline, and in the instructions, it's really better if you email me through Canvas, because then it doesn't go to my general email, which for the college is just jam-packed, so I don't usually see those as quickly. So the other, remember to do this also. If you're going to ask me something about the content of your work, make sure you include that content in the email, because otherwise I have to go traveling through cyberspace to find it, and it just takes a long time, and we're trying to streamline our technology. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, and we're just going to look at the assignments that are due Wednesday. Let's see, I'm going to share the desktop, so you can see a couple of my windows. I'm a multiple window person. Oh, no, we're not doing that. We're doing this. So this is, oops, I want to get this. We're just going to look at the assignments. Hopefully, you know at this point, if you go to the homepage, your homepage for this class, oops, hold on one second. You can see there's the link for this meeting right now, that you see the most recent announcements are at the top. And you could go this way if you wanted to. You can go to modules. See, that's you with a little yellow smiley face. And then there you go. And these are just the assignments listed in chronological order, so it shouldn't be too tricky, all right? The first page has a little bit of discussion about what we're doing and why and what's happening and what we are doing. And then it has a list of all the assignments for the module. So both assignments are often due on Wednesday, so hopefully you're all shifting gears to make sure that you can make that happen. And this is kind of how we're doing it. The first assignment that you had was just to write about yourself. So that kind of writing is kind of loose, and it's kind of just going, and you know, there's no real rules to it. You can kind of speak as you would in life. So the next one was just a document check, you know, make sure you got your Google Docs. And so the next writing assignment that we're going to do is called free writing. And let me just say this about free writing. It is exactly that. You can just kind of write what comes into your mind. It's pretty loose. I mean, I'll give you a direction to go in. On this one, you'll see I gave you some things to think about. And I use these pit bulls because they're my Instagram friends, but you got black and white and pit bulls, and any stereotypes come to mind. So for free writing, I'm going to give you prompts, and really what the prompts are just directions you could go in. So, and it's a way to get yourself generating text, generating words. And it's not necessarily the same as when you introduce yourself. You had to kind of think that out, like, what am I going to include? Free writing is kind of loose. You just kind of get your thoughts going. And it's, you just write continuously, and you don't worry about, well, rhetorical concerns. And that just means like grammar and punctuation. And, you know, it's a little, you know, relaxed. I would never say, oh, you know, you need to change the, you know, the paragraphing. It's not like that. It's just free thoughts. So free writing is just an exercise to get you going. All right. And here are the ideas. Think about a show that you stream. Like, what if someone walked in and saw you watching this show? What do you think they would think about you, and would it be, you know, accurate? Because sometimes you'll have a thing where you're watching something, you know, very oddball for you, and someone walks in and you see how they make up a whole story about you. And have you been stereotyped? Have you witnessed stereotyping? This is me trying to give you fodder, fuel, something to fan the flames of creativity or thinking. Write about pit bulls. Write about golden retrievers. Those two types of dogs have very different, ideas that spring to mind when you first think about them. What's a right idea about you and what's a wrong idea? Like, what is something people think about you, like right off the bat, that they may be mistaken in? What does clothing say about people? Does it say anything? Okay, so this, you're going to just write 250 words, and you got to get the lingo of Canvas. It's called an assignment, okay? And that's these are the practices. This isn't a discussion. This isn't going to be posted. It's just an assignment that goes to me. And then sometimes, just so you know, I will take excerpts from your work and paste them on the notes page, because I want to show everybody else, just a couple of things that people did. And remember, every so often, as you've discovered, I put little extra credit instructions towards the end, because, and I'm coming back to Christy on this one, full circle, now more than ever, it's really important to read all of the instructions, and to fiddle around with the technology to see if you can make it work in a streamlined way for you. Okay, so we're going to look at the other assignment. So, and the other way you can go is, you can't go to assignments, but I can. But it's just best for you to go to modules, because I kind of want you to see what's going on in order. So then, here we go. Now we're going to do the study questions for a single story, okay? And in this TED Talk, you'll listen to it, and I also have the transcript there you can get to. And then you're going to answer those questions, and those questions just kind of force you to engage with the specific content of the text. And I want you to try to put quotes in there, or just see if you can get a jump start. I'm going to force you to integrate text, integrate quotes into your writing. And that's a skill, and you'll see all kinds of examples of that. So just answer those questions, and you can copy and paste it right into the box, and then I'll just be looking at those. So again, we're kind of warming up. It's like a race, we're starting off slow, and then we're gonna really get going. So you've got the technology the first week. Now we're doing writing practice, and then the assignments that come after this are going to be more rule bound. We're going to have some strategies, some ways that you kind of must write about them. About the text. So, and on the second assignment, respect the text, you're going to actually be engaging with one of the readings. Now, you may even write your whole first paper on this very TED Talk. So give these readings, every assignment is attached to a reading from here on out, and there will be multiple assignments on this first one, so that we can examine the different kinds of writing that you need to do. You need to be able to summarize accurately, and you need to be able to respond to excerpts of the text, single ideas that come up in the text. And you need to be able to extract one idea from a general idea, one idea from the text, and then make it your own by adding your own insight, or arguing with it, or showing your own example. There's all kinds of ways to engage, but we're doing it in a scaffolded way, where we're rolling, we're introducing ourselves, we're going to do free writing, we're just kind of engaging. And then next week, we'll start with the more formalized. So I'm going to go back to modules, and we'll just kind of look at what those assignments look like. You're going to, you're doing the study questions. And then after that, in week 3, you're going to do a summary. And you will see, I have a lot of instructions about summary, and that might sound boring, because it is. No, it isn't. But it is a crucial skill. If you're going to be good at a sport, you've got to practice the different separate skill sets to be able to play the whole game. Okay, so if you're going to play the piano, you got to do the scales before you can really do your own thing. So summarizing just means you've been a very accurate reader, and you have been able to paraphrase, put into your own words, excerpt quotes, and accurately represent the content of a given text. Now, I do have a lot of instructions, and I'm just trying to get you different ways in. There's a slide presentation that I've designed to kind of walk you through it. And all in summary is all that MLA. You hear this word MLA. It's a modern language association that comes up all the time. It's all encased in that summary business. It's just, how do you cite something? How do you integrate it? it's a way of, it's a word choice. There's all kinds of little ins and outs to it, but you have plenty of examples. So that's how we are going to proceed. So it's easy, and then it's going to get more, you've got to do it a certain way. Okay, so I'm going to look at the notes. Now we're going to switch over here. And this is a survey that you can take. These notes, by the way, are on the left-hand side of your Canvas, and it says notes, English 110 notes. You can see right up here. So I took a little excerpt from, this is Graham's, I hope she doesn't mind. And this is one thing that I say to students in the assignments, somewhere along the line I've said this, if you're real, it's easier to write. If you're trying to anticipate what I'm gonna think of it or what someone else is gonna think of it, it's really best if you try to be yourself. And this one seemed like a really good example of that. So this was Graham, and she says, hello, my name is Graham, and despite the fact I was born in Kansas City, Kansas, I've lived nearly all my life here in Santa Barbara, California. Now, I'm not sure about any of you, but the impact of the isolation due to COVID hasn't affected me as much as it has for many people in countries around the world. And Graham will see, if she's listening, that, oh yes, you're there, that I made a few little changes here and there. I hope that doesn't offend you. As an introvert, it was not much of a change of pace for me, and I was thankful that it caused awareness for general sanitation, as people are now far more adamant about keeping their hands clean, not touching everything in grocery stores, and keeping a respectful distance from others rather than crowding personal space. You go, Graham. That was a really fun answer. Due to the possibility of spreading it to my father, I've been unable to find a job where I can feel like he's not at risk when I come home after work. I am one of the many who believes that the world will never be the same after COVID has passed, and hope the changes in actions, behavior, and sanitation of people are for the better rather than for the worse. I look forward to making many new friends through online school as we collectively learn despite this pandemic. So that was a nice one, and it seemed like it was pretty authentic, you know. She's like, well, you know, it hasn't been, because I think a lot of introverted people or people who get nervous in groups, they feel like the pressure's off, you know. Some people are bored out of their minds and can't stand being confined, and other people are kind of like, phew, that's a break. All right, now this person, this is, I called this reading the assignment supreme. They really read all the directions and they used both. Now, some of you put in the secret word, but you didn't put it in bold and you didn't underline it. So I gave you credit anyway, just for fun and because it was the first one, but in the directions it actually says you have to put it in bold or underline. So this person did both, did two of them, and they integrated them in very well. The exact date eludes me. However, it was a warm summer afternoon in 2016 and I was biking on a quiet trail. Out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw something chasing after me. After a ping of dread that it could be a snake or a rabid squirrel, I biked faster trying to escape it. However, it gained speed, eventually running next to the front wheel of my bike. To my astonishment, again, secret word, it was a tiny gray kitten. I took him to the vet to get his vaccination and turned my room into a cat sanctuary. 4 years later, and he's still my best friend and the king of the house. I love this story because it was the first time in my long history of having pets that the pet chose me. I thought that was just great. So, and for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, look at this bold. In the instructions, I said that you could get extra credit if you integrated these phrases in there. So that was kind of fun. And here's the next one. At first, isolation had me down in the dumps. I found myself not being able to get out of bed in the morning, not because I was comfy, but because I didn't see a reason to. To my astonishment, I found that there are a lot of things to do when you try. I took up roller skating. It's a good workout for arms, for the legs, and good for practicing posture. All right, so those are just 3 excerpts. I mean, there was tons of great stuff in there. And I'm going to tell you this, on assignments, when you're doing a 10-point credit situation, I'm not going to downgrade you if the grammar is off, if there's surface error mistakes. So just know that I sometimes nonetheless use those excerpts to show you issues that may be coming up as far as like grammar goes or punctuation. And those things may seem small, and the computer has not quite figured out, if you have a grammar check on your computer, it's never quite foolproof. You know, language is complex. So what I typically do is I boil down what are the big mistakes that people make. over and over that have the highest impact, that someone reading your work will go, what now? So you want to make sure that you follow along on that. So we're going to go down here. I'm going to check and see so far. Okay, so we're going to do something in a minute about punctuation, which I don't mean to suggest in free writing that you have to worry about it. I just want you to get because I've taught this a lot, and there are these mistakes that come up, and I want people to have a reference of somewhere they can go to look this over to figure out how to fix it. I'm just going to unshare for a second. I want to check, see if, okay. Oh, so Graham, did you want to choose a different option? My only note is that oh, Graham, I thought you were a girl. Okay. Stereotypes, if you have some other idea, he's asking that, can we, are those the only options on the prompts? If I haven't provided you with something, oh, Emily asks, well, let me just finish that one thing. If there's some little direction that you want to go in that's, related to the prompt, go for it. And free writing is free. If you're completely off the topic, no. But on the same topic, if you have some better idea, yeah, of course. And Emily asked, for the study questions, do we use MLA format for the quotes? Well, that would be great. We haven't really covered it yet, but if you know it or if you want to try it, yeah, jump right in. I always think and we're getting to exactly how to do that. Study questions are always better if you can integrate a quote. It's a skill. It's like, if you have that skill, you should practice it every chance you get. And here's the other thing. When you confine yourself to systematically using actual words in the text, you'll find that it's easier to stay on the point of the text, because you'll be surprised how you can read or listen to something and then you leave it for a while and you don't look at it. And then you come up with all kinds of ideas of things that you thought you heard or that you thought about it. But when you are back and forth with the text, and this is one of the main activities that we're doing, we're not letting our minds drift into what we thought about it. Before that, there is a rigorous and very strict adherence to what is on the page. What is the person actually saying? Not to what do you think about it? What does it mean? That comes later. But the important thing is to get the gist, and integrating actual quotes kind of helps you stay on track as far as that goes, and it makes you not misinterpret. Okay, so any other questions at the moment? Okay, I'm going to share the screen again, and let me just say a couple of things about punctuation. Okay, and usually I call it sentence joining, but sometimes it's a difference between like a and a B or a B and a C. But more importantly, when you go out in the world and you're writing a memo, or an email, or you're making some kind of document to persuade or what have you, if you're making these mistakes that happen all the time, it just doesn't look so good for you. You do want to, it's kind of like dressing well for a job interview. You don't want what your peers and your employer see to be a lesser, version. You kind of want to put your best foot forward. So it's kind of like the dressing. It's not the same as the thinking parts, which are, we always say that the thinking is king. We want logic and logical progression of sentences and ideas and all of that. But if it's marred with grammatical mistakes, usually sentence joining, it interferes with the reader's understanding of what you've written. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen, and we're just going to go. I'm going to run through it. So, and it's you can access it on your own as well. It's going to be in the notes. So we're going to look at this real quick. Share my screen, and it's in the notes, and we're just going to talk about sentence joining. Oh, I gotta make it big. Okay. Okay, so an invitation to punctuation. So if you ever see that I have written on your paper, or my comment is sentence joining, this is you, and it's about half of you. I have 75 students or so, and I would say this occurred with frequency in about half of the students. Really common errors that you won't always see. So pay attention to it because there's a trick at the end, okay? So you may be committing a violation that results in a situation of a grammatical ruination. Run-ons, comma splices, and fragments are the most common errors of high impact. Again, job interview or memo to your work team. You don't want to have mistakes like that. The common denominator of most errors is joining sentences. All right. Step 1, identify sentences that can stand alone. Those are called independent clauses. I don't want to freak you out by using grammar talk. But that's what they're called. They're independent. That you have to be able to identify a sentence, take it out of your work and see if you plopped it down, it could stand on its own. When they're next to each other, independent, specific rules apply. There are only, I think, 6 ways to join them. You have to use one of them. So my canned sentence for this example is, I love Santa Barbara. That's the complete sentence. I'd like to stay here indefinitely is also a complete sentence. So how do you join them? So these are the 2 top errors. This is where the trouble comes in. Let's say you've said those. You could have written that. I love Santa Barbara. I'd like to stay here indefinitely. Look at this first one and pay careful attention to this section right there. I love Santa Barbara and I'd like to stay here indefinitely. That is a run-on, okay? That is, a run-on sentence doesn't mean you verbally went on and on and on. It just means that you didn't join it correctly. I don't quite know why they call it a run-on. I guess because and gets involved. Anyway, you can't just put and there, okay? We'll get to what you can do. But this is a mistake. Look how nice it looks. It doesn't even look like a mistake, but it sure is. And for people like me on the other side who are well aware of these conventions, it jumps out quite a bit more than it might for some of you, okay? And a similar crime is to do what's called a comma splice, which means you have an independent and you join it only with a comma. I love Santa Barbara, comma, I'd like to stay here indefinitely. That's called a comma splice. It isn't nice. I don't want to, okay. So now, oops. So what's the plan? What are my options for joining complete sentences that are next to each other? Ready? Here's the menu. This is the only thing that you can do. Period, uppercase, comma and, comma but, comma so, comma or, comma nor, or a semicolon. That's all you can pick. So if we go up here, you had to put a comma right here. I love Santa Barbara, comma and. I love Santa Barbara, semicolon, or comma and. You can't just have one, okay? So when you look at this little menu here, make sure that you understand if there's an independent or just a complete sentence on either side, there has to be a complete sentence on either side if you've chosen these connective tissues. But if you have 2 sentences that are next to each other and they're complete sentences, these are your only choices. Your choice is not to put just a comma, or not just the word but, or not just the word and, okay? Or so, happens with so. Okay, so in my thinking, I think that's pretty easy to see with this example. It's much harder to see it in your own work. I'll give you that in advance. But just so you understand, complete sentence, in between, it has to be connected, and comma so, comma but, comma or, period, uppercase, and semicolon are the only ways you can do it, okay? So, here's the example. I love Santa Barbara, period. I'd like to stay here indefinitely. I love Santa Barbara, comma, and I'd like to stay here. These are all correct. I love Santa Barbara, comma, so. I love Santa Barbara, semicolon, I'd like to see. And that's how you do it. All right, so you can't just be a comma, can't just be an and. First order of business, you have to determine if those are independent sentences that can stand alone. So, not so fast. Look at my little guy. I think he's a sloth. You have to make sure that you have identified accurately what's a complete sentence and what's not. Now, I don't mean to say that you're going complete sentence, complete. You don't usually do it like that. It's more of a gestalt of review and reading and checking grammar. But you do have to see if you have on there, if you've joined incorrectly an independent clause with a dependent clause. A dependent clause is a fragment. It just means it's not a whole sentence, and those rules do not apply. So look at this. I want you to look very carefully at this next construction right here. Oops, I don't want to. Okay. I love Santa Barbara and would like to stay here indefinitely. I'm using the same gist, but I hope you notice I love Santa Barbara is a sentence and can stand alone. The second part, would like to stay here indefinitely, is not a sentence. There's no noun. So those joining rules don't apply. And I do mean to tell you that it's perfectly fine to write it that way. You just punctuate it differently. All right. So that is, in a nutshell, the main issue that comes up with sentence joining. There's another part of this, and I'll come up with another batch of slides for you that will be about when you use words like because, when, if, although, whenever, even though, this sort of thing. But I don't want to tell you about that now. I just want you to get this in your mind. When you see me saying, oh, sentence joining, sometimes I'll just highlight it in your work and I'll go sentence joining or grammar or something like that. Then it's kind of up to you to find where you've done it throughout your paper. I won't go through and point out every time, but I will, say, hey, check this. And usually, I mean, if I write on your paper, join these correctly or something like that, or I'll correct it for you. That's not that helpful in a certain way. You can correct that one, but it's better if you understand it. Then you own it, and then you can take it in your back pocket with you. Okay. So let's go. I'm going to unshare my screen. So again, now I don't want to confuse anybody, but that is not for free writing. I'm not going to worry about that at all. And when you do write on assignments, there's really no penalty for any of that stuff. It's just a chance for me to go, hey, check this. Look at this sentence joining, where's the, or integrating quotes. I'll give you little tips in the assignments, but it won't affect your grade. The assignments are only graded on the content. It has to be long enough. It has to be, it has to answer the question, it has to follow the directions. Okay. All right. So as far as grammar goes, that is enough for now. And just know that in the notes page that we looked at together for today, there's a link to it in there. And I'm also going to put it in some of in the modules for, I think it's strategies. It'll be available for you if you want to kind of run through it for yourself. Okay, so does anybody have any questions? Any commentaries? Seems like everything so far has been working. Most people got everything in and did a great job, and we're just going to proceed. And we won't have a Zoom meeting tomorrow, but I will be here. So if you want to email me and then we can just Zoom like this, that's fine too. We can just do it one-on-one if you have any questions. I don't anticipate that the kinds of questions you have at this point, because we're just running up to the hardcore content where you really have to do some writing, and it's going to have to be, up to code. We got to check the codes, the MLA codes. So that's about it. Everybody good? Nobody's showing their face. What's happening with that? Why is that? Okay. Let me, okay, everybody can unmute themselves, I'm hoping. Okay. Any questions? Make sure you're not muted. If you have a question, you can just say it out, or you can write it. MLA format for the study questions would be great, but it's a little looser than that. Don't kill yourself. Should be pretty good. Okay. All right. Well, then I'm guessing I'm going to end the meeting. Everybody's muted.
Oh, actually, I had one question. Will we be meeting on Wednesday?
No, I think you're looking at the college did not make it through all the way to the schedule of classes. And so in some version of of my classes, they still have meeting times as if it was actually in a room, but those are all defunct.
Okay, I got it.
It's all online, and I have
For sure.
mostly on Mondays I'll come and say a few things to kind of make sure that everybody's on the same page, or you can ask a question. But mostly it's voluntary participation in the Zoom parts. Although, I can tell that, the people who don't attend will often email me with questions that would have been answered had they attended. But that's about it. I don't want to make this too long because I have to record it, and then I will send it to you as well. So you all feel free not to give it a second thought. And also remember, on the notes page, you can look at that grammar breakdown. And again, that's part 1, but let's just get that under our belt. And, when you're doing free writing, don't worry about it. But as you write, keep it in the back of your mind. Give it a sideways glance. Is that a complete sentence? And also, what helps you is, have I ever been called out on this before? Has a teacher ever said to me, what's going on there with the punctuation? So now take this time to have it be the time that you understand it. Because it's not a good feeling to be sort of guessing away and hoping for the best, And there's always getting help from friends. That's always a good idea. Okay, I'm going to end the meeting. Any more questions? You got to pipe up.
So I just had one question. It was, you just asked about our face cams being off. Is it something that you would prefer if we had our face cams on, or does it?
Well, yeah, because I got my face cam on. It just seems right.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? I just think it'd be good. I like to see your face. I mean, this is hard enough. All I see is your name. I'd love to see your faces. So, but
I just have a really bad glare right now, so it would be different.
There you are.
I think I just look like a silhouette.
Yeah, but see, that was kind of fun anyway. So yeah, show your face. Come on, people. It just gives me something to kind of remember. Put the name with the face. Sometimes this is, it's a brave new world, isn't it? And weirdly, it's kind of cool because it's writing, so you really have to speak through your writing. You can't depend on your face to do all the work for you. Okay. Anything else? So how about next meeting? I'm gonna encourage you to turn your video cams on. So get your assignments in on. Oh, I want to tell you something else about grading. Now look, they're due on Wednesday, so some people turn them in at like midnight. So I usually do a little bit of grading on Wednesday, and then I do it on Thursday. But if you're turning it in late and you turn it in Friday, I'm not going to be going over that again on Friday. I may take another look at it later on, or you've got to call it to my attention that you handed it in. It's just super time consuming for me to keep going back. I'd like to do them all in a batch. So of course I'm the teacher turning it on time. Sometimes it'll be late, and I will get to it, but I do it in kind of batches. And I know somebody directed me, I think it was, I can't remember now, but what they made a mistake and they want me to go look at their revised resubmission. So I'm going to go do that right when we hang up. So that's that. Any other questions? Last minute?
So the next meeting's on Monday, right?
Yeah, we'll do another one on Monday. All right.
But then you said sometimes we'll have Wednesdays?
Never.
No, never. Okay.
The Wednesday thing is a holdover that the college did on some document somewhere, which I think it's like the schedule of classes. So hopefully you're well into Canvas and you're not on the schedule of classes. That was when we had a classroom. So this class is completely online, which means that there is no exact meeting time. You are not graded on your attendance. This is just to help you. I'm just doing this to offer you suggestions, to walk people through it. People, they can see me, and you can hear other people's questions, look at some other people's work. It's a service for you, but it's not a requirement, and you're not graded on attendance. This is completely online. Okay, so I don't know what that means if you're looking at the schedule of classes. I hope that you're well into the Canvas shell and all the places where all the content is, because there's tons of resources there and examples and etc. Oh, and on Monday, again, I'm going to try to fix the Zoom link also right now so that it's the right one that is on the left-hand side on your navigation menu bar on Canvas. I'm going to fix that. But nonetheless, probably for safety's sake, I'll still send you an invitation, you know, like a 1 o'clock or 1:15 or something on announcements, just to be sure. Because there was some issue where a different meeting is getting started every time, which is okay, but you just have to have the right, I want a unified link. So I'll be working on that. Okay. All right, I'm going to end the meeting. Have a great day and do your work on time. Everybody's a
you.
winner.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a good one. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.